We all carry big dreams. Some might even call them delusions. Maybe it's freedom to fly across the world on a whim, the joy of gifting your mother something expensive, or simply the beauty of raising a kind and loving family. But whatever form this takes, this dream lingers behind everyday thoughts and shapes how we move through the world. Despite what these online gurus promise through their online courses, their step-by-step formulas, or their best-selling blueprints, the path to your dream life cannot be purchased. It must be cultivated within, because the real secret to success isn't attained by any external factor. It is actualized through your internal mind. And now I know what you might be thinking, that all of this manifestation, visualization, and vision board stuff is completely full of shit and cringy. And I don't blame you, because I used to be the exact same way. I'd see some YouTuber talk about how making vision boards was the key to success. And then I'd go on Pinterest, save a bunch of pictures that represented my dream life, upload them to Canva, and make some aesthetic collage to put as my desktop wallpaper. In fact, I'll even put up a picture on the screen of what my wallpaper is. I mean, yeah, sure, it was fun to make, like just organizing everything in an aesthetic way, and seeing pictures of materialistic things that I wanted definitely did motivate me. But in the end, a couple of months would go by and I just saw little to no progress in my goals. I have not made a single dollar online. My physique isn't where I wanted it to be. And just overall, the life that I'm currently living did not at all reflect the life that I had envisioned in my vision board and all of the other delusional aspirations I had in my head. And this just led me to believe that the entire manifestation space was nothing but a way to give you false hope. And this was a belief that stuck with me for a long time, and so much so that it even became part of my identity. Because for most of my life, I always saw myself as an introvert, someone who had low social battery, someone who has trouble talking to new people, someone who didn't like being the center of attention. And while I still don't really like being the center of attention, to be frankly honest, the point still stands that I used to see myself as someone who kept to himself and avoid stepping out of his comfort zone. But going into my junior year of high school, I had a realization that completely shifted the trajectory of my life. And that was, I just realized that I'm pretty much halfway through high school, right? It's my junior year, roughly around halfway through high school. And there's people in my class that don't even know my name. Don't even know I existed, bro. And after this little epiphany, for some strange reason, I just started to have daydreams of myself being a more social person. And I know it might sound weird, but there's been times where I could imagine myself talking to a certain person that I used to never talk to. It was almost like I wanted to be friends with them. And if you are someone I know in real life watching this, chances are I've had one of these made up scenarios of us talking, even though that might sound weird now that I say that, but trust me, it's not. Trust me, it's not weird, bro. But anyways, this vision of this dream version of myself where I'm not scared to talk to people started to slowly become a reality, because every time I mentally picture that version of myself, not only did it motivate me because I'm seeing this elevated version of myself that I strive to be like, but it helped me anticipate ways to solve problems that otherwise would have got in my way. For example, let's break it down into two versions: Shy Andrew and Confident Andrew. If Shy Andrew was put into a position where I had to speak in front of a crowd, like a classroom, I would be extremely shy. I'd avoid making eye contact. I'd be fidgeting with my hands. I'd probably speak really fast so I could finish talking and sit back down as fast as possible. And on the other hand, if I were to envision Confident Andrew, the version of me that is not afraid of public speaking, I'd imagine myself doing things where I look more confident, where I'm not fidgeting. I speak slower and take more pauses, which is something I have to do more in my videos. I make eye contact with the crowd, and I would just apply all the things my ideal version of myself would do in that situation to my current life. And I do understand that this is a pretty shallow example, and you might be thinking, why should I even listen to this puny little anecdote from this random 17-year-old on the internet? Fair enough, have it your way. But I could probably list out dozens of these manifestation testimonials from dozens of successful people. For example, literally last week in UFC 317, If you're an MMA fan, you know exactly what I'm about to talk about here. This dude, Ilia Topuria, someone who is on pace to be one of the greatest of all time, had a picture-perfect example on why this manifestation bullshit works. Ilia says in a press conference interview that he's going to knock out Charles Oliveira in the first round.
The only thing I know for sure is that I'm going to knock him out in the first round or submit him in the first round.
And literally the day before his fight with Charles, a video is posted of Ilia celebrating and partying as if he had already won the fight. And now I do know that just because he celebrated the fight doesn't mean he's going to automatically win the fight, but it definitely raises the stakes. And it motivates him to not get embarrassed for if he loses in some alternate universe. And it just overall boosts his confidence and self-esteem leading up to the fight. And it's the same thing for someone like Brez Scales. Like just a couple months ago, he posted a video of him saying how he's going to be driving a Lamborghini, wearing an AP on his wrist, and living in a Miami penthouse.
Pretty soon, this Corvette's going to be a Lambo, that penthouse is going to be in Miami, and this watch is going to be an AP.
And the next thing you know, the dude has had 2 Lamborghinis since that clip, a Urus and an Aventador, has got an AP with the addition of a Cartier skeleton and a Richard Mille. And not only has he lived in a Miami penthouse for around a month, but he also just moved into a $4 million house in Miami. If that's not the law of attraction at work, then I don't know what is. And another online creator, Jake Ryan. He has made multiple videos of him explaining how powerful manifestation is.
If you truly believe that you are who you want to be, you're gonna get it. And truly, I am a millionaire mentally. It's just a matter of time before it ever comes out physically. And it'll probably be like a year. Right when I turn 22, that's my goal, to be a millionaire by the time I'm 22. So it really just comes down to the mindset. If you believe that you're gonna get what you want, how are you not gonna get it?
He says that if you could mentally visualize you living your dream life, you already have it. But Jake Ryan has a little more philosophical and religious spin onto all this, because he says in a lot of his videos that God puts these delusional dreams in your head for a reason. God gives you these aspirations because he knows that you could actualize them. And somehow, if you're still not getting it, let me explain it to you in Spider-Man terms. Think about it like this. Just like in the Spider-Verse, there are thousands, millions, billions of versions of Spider-Man. But even though they're all Spider-Man, they all live different lives. One is a live action, one is an animated version of Spider-Man, one is a girl Spider-Man, one is a pig Spider-Man, and it's the same thing with you. Theoretically speaking, there is already a version of yourself out there living your dream life. They have the dream car, the dream crib, the beautiful wife or handsome husband. They have all the things you want, and your job is just make that reality your reality. But don't get this the wrong way. This doesn't mean that you can just fuck off because some alternate version of yourself achieved the things you want to achieve in a different timeline. That is not what I'm saying. Because for all I care, this alternate version multiverse theory probably isn't even real. But the point is that if you can sit in silence and think about what this ideal version of yourself is doing to be able to have all these things, you could reverse engineer that persona and apply it to your current life. For example, say you're picturing a version of yourself with your dream physique. Think about what steps he or she took to be able to sculpt that Dorito back, that six-pack abs and broad shoulders. Did they sit in their bed all day scrolling TikTok? Or did they progressively overload in the gym consistently for multiple years? Obviously, it's going to be the latter. And going back to sports, another UFC example, the notorious Conor McGregor. As in his championship fight with Jose Aldo, McGregor acted out how the fight will end up before the fight even fucking started. Think about that. Both Ilia and Conor McGregor both had iconic moments of mental visualization where they manifested their win before their respective fights even started. And later, after Conor knocks out Aldo in 13 seconds, he says in a post-fight interview these exact words. If you can see it here and you have the courage enough to speak it, it will happen.
If you can see it here and you have the courage enough to speak it, it will happen.
And I am telling you this not because I'm sharing some random success stories from professional athletes or online gurus, but because dreams of winning are aspirations we all have. We all have these goals that people will say are crazy or cringy or something along the lines of you shouldn't or can't even do it. And if you have the confidence and courage to be vocal about it by letting that idea in your brain out into the world in the physical form, in the form of words that are coming out of your mouth, and if you could keep genuinely believing in it, and if you keep doing the things necessary to actualize it, it will become reality. It does not matter how big of a goal it is. If there's a will, there is a way. And if you want it that badly, you will obsess over it. And it will keep you up at night. It will be on your mind 24/7. And people will look at you weird for believing in it. But let me tell you that in the words of Kyrie Irving, the best workers in the world are the ones with the greatest imagination. They have the creativity to work by themselves and be able to be out for hours without anybody pushing them.
Yes, the best workers in the world are the ones with the greatest imagination. They have the creativity to work by themselves and be able to be out here for hours without anybody pushing them.
And so with all these examples out of the way, this then poses the question, how does one actually do this? And since a common misconception is that this whole manifestation thing is cringy and unpractical, how do you actually see real results from it? To start off, you have to understand that this is something that does not happen overnight. Yes, the whole idea of visualization is marketed as something that will grant your wildest dreams in the blink of an eye. But that's just something people say to entice you to start doing it. And in reality, this is a process that takes anywhere upwards to weeks, months, years, and the unsexy answer, decades. But don't let that discourage you. As what I've showed you already, there is plenty of proof that this works. The few examples I've shown you are just the tips of the iceberg. Like, those are just the first people that came to mind when I thought about making this video. And there are hundreds of thousands, heck, probably even millions of instances where people turn their abstract visions into tangible reality. And so the secret is to just think of it like how a plant grows. First, you start off with a seed. You nurture it with sunlight, with water, high quality soil, and protection. And then it begins to stem out of the ground until finally it grows into a full-fledged plant. And it's the same thing with manifestation. Ideas are planted into your brain, and it's your job to nurture it with the right actions, expand it with the right knowledge, reinforce it with the right mindsets, and protect it against whatever might try to trample on it. Before you know it, after a long period of consistent hard work, your idea will actualize into reality. And so a more detailed breakdown of each part of this process would be step one is to just plant the seed. I am a big believer that dreams aren't put into your head by chance. Just like what we talked about earlier, how on a religious stance, God gives you these crazy goals because he genuinely believes you could achieve them. And these dreams could be planted by really anything, ranging from a video you watched, a conversation with a friend, a social media post from someone you admire, window shopping, a traumatic experience, a book you read, or even a random shower thought. Everything and anything could plant a seed in your subconscious that causes you to start desiring a novel outcome. And this is where the law of attraction comes into play. In simple terms, the law of attraction is the theory that you will attract whatever you focus on. For example, have you ever saw something you really liked, like a watch, a nice car, a piece of clothing, and then all of a sudden you start to notice it everywhere? That is how the law of attraction works. And speaking from my own personal experience, the color of my first car was a light gray. And it might seem like a regular traffic car. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's like a regular ass color. But ever since I got the car, the only thing I've been noticing on the street were cars with that exact same color. And even though gray is a super common color for cars and something that I've been seeing for as long as I could remember, I only really started to notice them once I got my own car. The point is, the more you focus on something, the more your mind will subconsciously seek it out and notice it in your environment. And that right there is the key to making visualization into actualization. The more focus, attention, dedication, and energy you put into a goal, the more you'll actively look for ways to achieve it. For example, when it comes to this whole content creation thing, my brain is always looking for new content ideas from literally anything at any time. It could be a suggested YouTube video, a TikTok on my For You page, a book at the library, a tweet, a Substack article, a conversation with a friend, a lecture from a teacher, a quote from a podcast, a theme of a painting, a thought in the shower, and the list just goes on and on. because making content is such a high priority in my life that I could find ideas from any source. And most of the time, it happens when I'm not even trying. So utilize the law of attraction by making your primary goal, whether it's making money, sculpting a physique, etc., as high as a priority as you can. And when you do, your brain will automatically look for ways to accomplish it even when you're not actively working on it. And step 2 is once a seed or idea, in this case, has been planted, you have to nurture it, because a dream without action will never be more than just daydreaming. And so here are some things that you could do to break down a goal into lever moving tasks. The first is to work backwards from your vision. This is called reverse engineering. So start with your end goal. This could be a dream physique, business success, a career you love, really anything. And then just ask yourself, what would someone who already achieved this be doing on a daily basis? Doing this will help you identify the 3 to 5 most critical activities that ideal version of yourself does consistently. And the idea here is to just break each activity into weekly, then daily actions. The second is the 80 to 20 ratio analysis. This is where you list everything that you could potentially do to reach your goal. And this list shouldn't just be a few bullet points. It should be long. And matter of fact, I'd say a proper list should go on to the next page. And so once you've dumped everything on a place where you could have a bird's eye view of everything, just narrow everything down. And this can be hard, I know, especially since I just told you to fill up an entire page. But the premise is to just identify the 20% of actions that will produce 80% of your results. So focus obsessively on these high leverage activities first. Then the third are daily non-negotiables. You need to identify 1 to 3 things that must happen daily to move towards your goal. And pro tip, make these non-negotiables so simple that it's impossible to fail. For example, this could be things like writing 100 words for your book, doing 10 push-ups first thing in the morning for fitness, or reaching out to one person for networking. And the fourth is the future self question. When you start experiencing self-doubt or lack of motivation, just simply ask yourself, if my future successful self saw me struggling right now, what would he or she tell me? And doing this will help you overcome roadblocks that otherwise would have stopped you dead in your tracks. Thinking about what advice your future self would give you helps reprioritize your lever moving tasks. But here's the thing, you also have to protect your vision as well, because your dreams are fragile, especially in the beginning. And just like how a newly planted seed needs protection from harsh weather, pests, and trampling, your goals need protection from negative environments and your own self-doubt. You might think that the biggest threat to your dreams are external and physical obstacles, but in reality, it's the people around you who will call your goals unrealistic or delusional. And I'm sure 99% of successful people can attest to that. The moment you tell someone you want to build a $1 million business or just something related to changing your life for the better, there's always that one person who says, like, be realistic or that's not practical. Do not let these people into your inner circle when it comes to your dreams. Guard your vision like it's classified information. Share it only with people who either support you unconditionally or are on a similar journey themselves. Thus is why I'm so open to you, because your environment is everything. If you're constantly around people who settle for mediocrity or consume negative content or have a scarcity mindset, that energy, that exact frequencies will seep into your subconscious and poison your belief system. And so instead, you need to curate your environment intentionally. Follow creators who inspire you, read books that challenge your thinking, listen to podcasts that expand your mindset, and surround yourself with people who are either where you want to be or are grinding to get there. Because your network becomes your net worth, but more importantly, your environment becomes your identity. So focus on tasks that directly move you toward becoming the version of yourself you visualize. That is how you deliberately put the law of attraction into motion. And step 3, and the final step of this manifestation process that actually works, just like how a plant that's been properly nurtured eventually sprouts through the soil and grows into something beautiful, your vision will start to manifest in ways that might surprise you. But here's the thing that catches most people off guard. The results rarely look exactly like what you initially visualized. Remember that vision board I showed you at the beginning of the video? Even though I haven't yet achieved those materialistic things, I think I got something even better. I became the type of person who is actually capable of achieving those things. Like the shy, introverted version of myself who made that vision board could not have handled the opportunities that are now coming my way. And this is what I mean by reaping the fruits. You don't just get the external stuff, the money, the physique, the lifestyle. You become the person who naturally attracts these things. You develop the confidence, the skills, the mindset, and the network that makes your dreams inevitable rather than just possible. The crazy part is that once you truly embody this elevated version of yourself, new opportunities start appearing that you never even thought to put on your vision board. It's like God, the universe, LeBron James, or whatever you believe in. It's like they start conspiring in your favor. Just like what Conor McGregor said, if you can see it here and you have the courage enough to speak it, it will happen. Remember those words. And just like a fruit tree that keeps producing season after season, once you master this process of visualization, action to manifestation, it becomes a repeatable system. You plant new seeds, nurture bigger dreams, and watch them grow into even more extraordinary realities. And that is it for this video. Hopefully I was able to drill the importance of truly believing that you could make your dreams a reality into your noggin. And if you want more wannabe philosophical advice from some random 17-year-old on the internet, consider following, watch my other videos, and also stay tuned for new videos as I have a lot of ideas planned. And I'll see you in the next one. Until next time, goodbye.